Chapter 12. We traveled alongside the coastline of this massive lake. It smelled and looked more like the Atlantic Ocean near my childhood village than any other lake I had ever seen. About 1 week later, we paddled up a small river and arrived at a mission, built between a fork in the river as darkness approached. A great wall made from the trunks of trees surrounded the mission. Smoke drifted into the sky from multiple fires inside the enclosed settlement. A hill rose up behind the wall, providing a backdrop of forest when viewing on approach from the river. On either side of the mission, crops grew in well-attended fields. On one side, sparse, feeble maize swayed gently in the evening breeze. The other field appeared to host a variety of local vegetables. The sky behind glowed orange, purple, and pink in the direction of the mountains as the daylight faded. There was only one entrance to the mission, 2 large doors that swung outward. A lookout gave word to open the gates before my companions had even spoken. Once inside, both Jean-Luc and Claude were greeted with handshakes and shoulder clasps by the mission residents. They spoke in French throughout introductions, and the group that had greeted us welcomed me kindly. Toward the back of the settlement, in the direction of the hills, was a simple but tall church. The church tower stretched high into the sky and was crowned by a large cross. Smaller structures were built on both sides of the church. These appeared to house the Frenchmen who lived in the settlement. The center of the mission was clear. Built around the clearing close to the wall were 1,520 homes made from the trunks of small trees and covered with multiple layers of bark from large trees. The Frenchmen called these structures wigwams. We spent the next 2 days at the mission. We were given lodging in the building to the right of the church with the common French settlers. The building on the left was meant for the men of the church. We ate and traded our furs for supplies such as new knives, new traps, venison, jerky, tobacco, and items of clothing to replace those that were wearing out. My companions seemed to hold a meeting with everyone of importance in the settlement and were gathering all the news and information they could before we moved on. It was amazing to see white settlers and Indians living together peacefully. There was something strange about these native people adapting to white ways at a settlement far into the Western world, beyond white civilization, in territory that was theirs. These were Christian Indians, but they were Wyandotte, and after my experience with the Bear Clan, I found the whole transformation confusing. I felt confident the Wyandotte of Lone Wolf would never accept this type of change. They respected and loved their traditions so much, but clearly this Wyandotte clan had changed, and they could not have been that different from the Bear Clan. Jean-Luc, Claude, and I sat down after supper the second day and had a long discussion. It was the first time they had sought my input into planning our next move. They provided information that they had learned through discussions with the leaders of the mission. There had been a lot of talk about great rivers to the south that no white man had ever seen. There was a great land bridge between Lac de St. Louis and another great lake that led to very dangerous Seneca Indian territory. The natives spoke of a great mountain range to the southeast of Seneca territory. The streams that came out of these mountains were home to the finest furs the Indians had ever seen. To the east of these mountains lived white men who the natives in the region felt were very dangerous. They claimed that they were spreading over the land and carried sickness in them that easily spread. I shared with them that this could be the colonies of Virginia settled by the English or even the rumored Dutch settlements. To the west of the mountains they warned of tribes that hated these white men because they had forced them to leave their lands. Both of my companions agreed we had about 4 months left before the onset of winter. Despite the danger, they were considering heading south to these mountains and spending some time trapping. After briefly exploring and trapping, they would head back to the mission for the winter, unless a better opportunity presented itself. Jean-Luc shifted his eyes away from the stick he had been poking into the dirt and looked firmly into my eyes. "Silas, this could be a mighty dangerous journey. There would be no shame in staying behind and waiting for our return." Claude nodded his head in support of his friend. A smile slowly began to form on my lips in response to the seriousness of his tone. Both men looked to be confused by this reaction. "Considering my main reason for joining the two of you was to make my way to Virginia, and the fact that danger has been a constant companion for over a year, the excitement offered by this adventure seems nearly irresistible." Both men happily accepted this explanation. Claude slapped his leg and snorted, "I told you he's a brave one and wouldn't let old Lalonde and Fortin go off on our own." Claude's enthusiasm was rewarding. A feeling of acceptance rushed over me. We were in this together, and we valued each other mutually. After my arrest in Roxbury and the way my parents had betrayed me, no matter how comfortable a situation appeared, doubts always floated around in my mind. It felt good to trust my partners.